Good morning, everyone. What I'd like to share with you this morning is a quick overview of what we set, our goals that we set out for 2020 and what we have achieved and accomplished. And this is what we use this dashboard when we have our PC and we have a look at our church finances. We use this as a tool. So on our income analysis, you will see that 68% of our major income comes from DG and 9% from rental. We also track our income on a daily basis. And in order to, we use this, you'll see on the left-hand side is a snapshot of the income that we have. We normally do it on the 25th of every month. We track every day, but on the 25th of the month, we then put in what our DG is for that time so that we can also track our cash flow. It helps us with our cash flow so that we can meet our debit orders and our utilities and expenses that needs to be paid. So we try and be in, we try to, the way the new, and I must thank Keenan for teaching us how to tell, how the dashboard tells the story and the finances, so that we do not have a cash flow problem when it comes to us having to pay our debt. You'll also see that there is a, for our debt, which we always thought was an overdraft, but it's an overdrawn account, you can see the line of our bank account balance that we started at 2.2 million, and our goal was to have that balance below 1.9 million. And thank you again to every one of you here and that's not here, that's watching online or it's going to watch later, that without you it wouldn't have been possible. The next one, Tam. On this graph, you will see our DG, how the lockdown had affected our DG, but people will still pay their DG and be faithful to that dedication that they had committed to. So with this graph, it also helps us to, in how we're going to do, allow us to do a realistic budget for the following year. Sorry, just one back, Tam. So we had some strategic insights for 2021. And as part of our strategic project this year, our men's fellowship group has taken it upon themselves to build a fire pit. As you can see on planning that we wanted to have the fire pit done this year. The plan is to have the fire pit ready for Easter sunrise service. And the fire pit is, if you look out the window, it's going to be on the grounds there in front. We need to do necessary repairs to the roof. That's going to cost a substantial amount because some of the repairs the insurance has not paid us for, or it's not part, the insurance has said that they can't pay us for it. Then we have a huge focus will be faced on ensuring that the cash will be conserved to ensure that we meet our commitments on the due dates, example, debit orders and utility bills. The major focus will be on virtual ministry and pastoral care, which will mean that we will need to allocate a substantial amount of our budget to this ministry. to assume that the church is run and managed entirely online. Then scope how it looks and what it's going to take to run it financially. So now we go to the 2021 dashboard. You will notice that the ratio, that only 1% is for plate income, and that was due to our lockdown. So we had no in-person service, and having no in-person service, you can see how our plate income is affected. The rental income ratio will also change next month due to NSC having closed their congregation. So they've given us notice, and then Victoria has moved out. So our rental will also be drastically affected, so that ratio will be much lower next month. If you look at the snapshot for DG in February is done, which tells us that we are having a cash flow problem. It seems to be a pattern. If you look right at the bottom of the snapshot, you will see that February is normally our lowest month, between January and February. I would like to take this opportunity to make because the DG was so low at the 2nd of February, we have got a cash flow problem. And I'm making an appeal for you to assist us to raise 30,000 Rand. This is to allow us to have a buffer in our account and to meet our expenses. We need to strategize how to manage our cash flow and to deal with the shortflow. If we continue to have an excess of between 30 and 50,000 in our bank account when we start on the 1st of the month, then we will be able to manage our finances so much better. The diocese, they take their DG contribution, no, their 10% contribution, and the salary bill goes off between the 10th and the 13th, depending on when the date is in the month. They then take off their debit order, which affects our cash flow quite drastically because our DG comes in, and I do apologize for using the word DG all the time, but as you see on our graph, that is our major and our main income provider. So we are, that when it gets to the 15th, it's obvious that people haven't been paid yet, so it causes a cash flow problem. But if we can just get in that buffer into our account, then that will resolve that problem going forward. To honour our debt and reach our target for December 2021, of what the amount stands as today is 1.9 million Rand. You can go to the next slide, Pam, sorry. 1.9 million, 4,018 Rand. And what we have planned is to do a amortization table, which Reverend Anastasia will explain to you what we're going to do there, to bring our balance down to below 1.6 million. So what I'd like to do now is to summarize what has been discussed. I'd like to emphasize on our cash flow. Surplus does not mean that we have money in the bank. If you look at our January income statement, I skipped that. For the month of January, the DG was a bit down, but there was nothing that nothing that we received that was out of the ordinary. When you look at our expenses, the same is at our expenses that we as we recorded a few months before, that we had the water leakage and things like that. We have, for the month of January, we have a surplus of 4,000, sorry, I don't have my glasses on, but I know it was just over 4,000 Rand. So, even though we're showing a surplus, doesn't mean that we have money in the bank. It just means that we managed our income and our expenses. So, to plan dates for payments and debit orders, which will help us with our cash flow. We have a daily cash flow spreadsheet, which our gracious bookkeeper Heather is doing, where we keep track of our cash flow, strategic plans for the fire pit, and to raise an appeal for 30,000 Rand during Lent to fix the drop in income. I would like to thank every one of our parishioners on behalf of Parish Council. Your total dedication to all saints, whether it be tithes or labour. This allowed us as PC to achieve our goal that we had set up for the beginning of 2020. Thank you. Do you have any questions? So now Reverend will explain the amortization table.
I was a struggle to pronounce it. Thank you, Church Warden. I'm hoping that gives you an insight. I know for visitors it's very boring to look at financials, but I'm hoping that it gives you an insight into our strategy around particularly the debt. That is our biggest noose around our neck. And so what we are hoping to do is, as Sharon said, we're at just under 1.9 million now. By December 2021, we want to be under just around 1.5 million. In order to do that, Kenan gave us the spreadsheet that puts in figures and numbers, and you'll see it will be on the website. We have to, every month, we pay between 15 and 16,000 Rand towards that overdraft. But that is only servicing the interest. So we will pay it off only in 30 or 60 years if we continue like that. What we'd like to do is a 5-year repayment plan. We up the monthly payment to 20, I also don't have my glasses on, 23,000. So instead of paying 15, we pay 23, which means we need to find an extra 8 per month. And then in December every year, we make a balloon payment of 200,000 Rand. So as a parish, we have a year to do 2 or 3 major fundraising events and raise that 200,000 Rand. If we manage to do that and keep that on schedule, we will no longer have a debt within 5 years. If we manage to pay more than that monthly, or we heard from Jean today, you don't know what God has in store for us, so we should just proceed and be faithful. But that is the plan that we have as leadership for this year. And I'd like to also thank you, as our church warden has, for your dedication and for your love and for your commitment. Okay, any questions? We've either stunned you or silenced you. If you think of something later, please email the questions through. Please stand for the